Good morning. It's time for the social hour. Karibuni sana. Oh wow, we have guests in studio today. We're talking about foster children and adoption. Wow. With me is Remy Majala. How are you?
I'm very much okay.
It's a bit cold, you know. It's a bit. Today it's cold in Nairobi.
Most definitely, but again, like we always say here in Algeria, we only make sure that you, our viewers, only feel warmer by our discussions we're going to have today, of course.
Yeah. Well, we're going to introduce the guests in studio. I'll actually allow you guys to introduce yourself. Let me begin with you, sir. Can you give us your name?
Yes, my name is Reverend Steven Dongo, working for Association of Charitable Children Institutions of Kenya.
Good. You, sir?
And I'm Frederick Kimemia. I'm the chairman of the Adoptive Parents Association of Kenya. Yes.
Wow, thank you very much. Welcome to the show. Well, you can always join us, join the conversation on social media, Facebook, Twitter. It's at K24 TV, and our numbers are scrolling on the screen. You can call us and tell us what you think about adoption. I'm sure you know someone who's adopted, or at least you know someone who doesn't have a child and maybe they need a child. Wow, let's kick it off, Remy.
Right, most definitely. So we're speaking about adoption and foster parenting, and it's not something we speak about so much in Kenya, but I think maybe where I would want to start with is how it is in Kenya. How is, adoption and, foster parenting in Kenya? Can I begin with you?
Yes, I want to greet you viewers. My name, like I said, is Frederick Kimemia. I chair the Adoptive Parents Association of Kenya, a national umbrella for parents who have adopted children in Kenya. Myself also, I am a parent. I've adopted, me and my wife, we have adopted one child, and we have our own biological son. So in Kenya, it's still a big problem because we have about 500 Kenyan parents going through adoption every year, 500 only. And worldwide, we have about 250,000 couples or single people doing adoption. So in Kenya, we are only doing 0.2%.
Wow. Okay. Why is that, Reverend? Do you think that it's a stigma in Kenya, that it's psychological? When people talk about adaptation or foster parenting, they just end up like, what will society say? Is this something that Kenyans are stigmatized by, or what exactly is the problem?
Yeah, basically I would think that it's a new phenomenon in our society because Africans had a different way of living, whereby there were no adoption, and all the kind of Western words was like natural. There was no child who did not have parents or who did not have somebody to take care for. So therefore, because of modernization, now things have changed, and we have to do things in a different way. And that's why there's the introduction of adoption and foster care and other forms of alternative care. So, and there's also have not been enough sensitization to the community on adoptions. The other thing is that there's stigmatization. Like I'm sure you have heard, sometimes when an adopted child goes to school, they are said, wewe ni wa kununuliwa. So that stigmatizes the child until everybody feels it's bad, it's not good. And then it's also thought that you are adopting because you can't have children of your own. Okay, of course it's one of the reasons why you should adopt, but that is not the main reason. You could be having other children and you want to adopt, but the adopted child is always stigmatized sometimes. So that's why it's a problem in our country, and particularly in an Africa setting, to talk about adoptions. But things are changing.
Okay. Okay. But let me ask you. You said you've adopted a child.
Yes. Did
you get any opposition, perhaps from maybe the family, extended family, or anybody? And then, does the child know they are adopted, or is there a certain age you can tell the child they are adopted?
Maybe I start with the first one. Back in 2007 or 2006, when we started this campaign about adoption in Kenya, and while we were going through adoption, we were having it rough, especially within the society. Because like what Steven said, most of the people we have, especially in this part of the world, Kenya being one, is that if you're adopting a child, is either you can't have your own, so you have fertility issues, or you just want to do it, either for money or for other things. So we had to go against the tide, especially from our society, and it was not easy. I remember the first meeting we had with parents in Nairobi. They said stigma is the major issue they were dealing with. So for me and my wife, we had issues with that, but we had to go against it and deal with it. The second question was about
does the child know they're adopted? Or
the disclosure.
Yeah, exactly, the disclosure. What when do you disclose?
The disclosure is an important issue because if you don't disclose that to the child over time as they grow, and then they hear it from the society. And for me, when we are open to talk about this, because we've gone through it, the first instance we had was school. You took a child to school, and then you have to show a document. In Kenya, you are required to show a birth certificate. But for adopted children, you produce an adoption certificate. Okay. So they are there. The teachers and the school already are aware. If you've not disclosed to the child, it's tragic because they will hear it from the teachers and from the other pupils. True. So our instance was one day our daughter came and said, we know you're not our parents. And this issue, she had it in school. So we had actually had to move our daughter from one school to another so that we could address that issue. But then I said, never again will any other parent go through that. Because one of the issues was the adoption certificate, because you carry it with you and then you produce it in school. Even before you disclose, the child will know, either from the school or even the family members. So then we said we're not going to sit back and see that happening. So we had to go back at it, deal with it in a better way. We moved our daughter to another school. I know not every parent can be able to do that. True. So then we prepared her. So between 4 and 5, we had to. 4 and 5 years. We started preparing her. We started preparing her. Now she's about 10 years and she knows about her adoption status. We are advising other parents not to wait until they hear it from the child, having had it from school.
Okay.
Most definitely. And remember, our guiding question for this conversation is, we're asking you, do you think that, adoptization in Kenya is perceived as a foreign culture, right? The adopting a child is still perceived as a foreign culture in Kenya. Send us your SMSs to 20001, that is the number, at K24TV, that is the Twitter handle, and on Facebook, our page is K24TV. I think I ate a lot of, things that make me shrub, today. But anyway, I was meeting at K24TV and SMS 20001. Reverend, you mentioned something very important about the way it's stigmatized here in Kenya, and not many parents are willing to, reveal to their children in time. Yes. And what he said is very interesting, that you should actually tell a child, beforehand, before the school or anyone else tags at him or her for being an adopted child. Yes. But the thing is, how do you advise, or rather, do you do counseling sessions for parents? In the sense that you'll find, I've seen a scenario where some parents are very protective to this adopted child. They treat this child like they're an egg. Like they cannot handle any information that pertains to who they are, maybe who their former parents are, maybe if they died and the like. So how do you advise parents to not treat this other child like they're so different, like quote unquote, this very sensitive being, and treat them like the rest of the other children, so that they don't feel like they are different from the other kids in the family?
Yeah, basically you should understand that every child is born with curiosity, and they want to know the truth about everything. I remember when we were young, sometimes we used to hear parents write to children that I went to the shop and I came with a baby. But time has come that you have to disclose almost everything that needs to be known by that child. And one of it, that if a child is adopted, I think it's important that that child is informed at the earliest time possible, so that they can understand who they are, because that's their rights. Those are their rights. They have rights like anybody else. even right to information. And the very, very basic right is information about yourself. So every parent should disclose to the child and explain even the circumstances. Why are you adopted? Why did we have to adopt you?
And just to interrupt you a bit, sometimes we think kids are too young to hear or learn about things. So we tend to say, let's tell this child at this age because maybe they'll be able to understand more, as opposed to telling a 4-year-old or a 5-year-old information. So should we take back that notion and see the maturity of the child as an individual and tell him or her at a particular age, let's say we're in 5, that you're an adopted child?
Oh, yes, but you should also know that, okay, there are some things that we normally use evolving capacity. That is, you have to wait until the child understands. But I don't think it's good to wait long enough. It's good to start as early as possible.
Which is what age?
At any age. Let them understand. If they start speaking, let them also maybe try to disclose in bits. Maybe, like, for example, you should prepare yourself psychologically also to help this child to start understanding things. Like we teach children how to walk, how to talk, how to do everything. The same things, we should introduce them to things that pertain to themselves. Yeah.
Right. Interesting. Yes, Sunny.
Oh, okay. Before I talk to him, I think we've got a call. Good morning. How are you? Hello. Hello.
Hello.
Good. Give us your name and where you're calling from, please, and your question.
I'm James. I'm James Mwema from calling from Machakos.
Okay, James.
Yes, I wanted to support the idea of child adoption. Yes, because actually not all the parents can afford to have children. Hello.
Yes, sorry, I can hear you. Go on.
Not everybody can afford to have a child.
All right, okay. Go on.
So I really support the idea of child adoption. And actually, these are actually not a person fault idea. Actually, you can even name it as a God fault idea. So if a child is adopted. Actually, I think that there are modalities that are laid upon someone to take care of the child.
Okay.
In assistance with the doctors that are in assistance. So I really support the idea of the child adoption.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you. Wow. Okay, good. The guy supports the adoption.
Yes.
There's something I wanted to ask you, Fred. Okay, from where you're sitting, I'm sure you come across many children.
Yes.
The kids that are being adopted every day. Do those kids get a sense of belonging? Do they feel like they belong in a particular family? You know, like perhaps maybe there's already an existing biological children of the couple, and then they adopt a child. Does that child feels like they actually belong there? Do they feel like they can inherit? You know, the whole aspect of the child. Do they feel like they belong?
We are coming from far, especially in Kenya, where children, once they were adopted in those years, they would be either hidden from the community, the society itself, or the issues of disclosure wasn't done right. So what we're doing with our members, and we have hundreds of members in Kenya, is that we are organizing parenting classes or meetings for adoptive parents, so that we can prepare them and their children to be able to exist within the society.
You also counsel the children as well?
Yes.
Okay,
especially when you're having annual meetings, we're asking parents to come with their children. And then we will have children together in a separate area, and then parents together. Because we've realized these children are coming in an already formed setup, in a family setup, either an extended family or even the nuclear family, where they have to fit in and belong. And it's a challenge. Some children will, once the disclosure is not done, so they cannot actually, we lie to ourselves that these children, they belong. Because there'll come a time when they are 13, 14, 15 years where they ask serious questions about where they came from. Actually, in the association, we have a program we're calling journaling, where we're helping parents to put together a history that they can prepare the children over time to be able to disclose to the child and actually assist them to fit in within that setup. And it's a challenge, a big challenge. But you're coming from far. We've seen adopted children even coming up later in life. We have one who is about 21 who is actually organizing other children. He was adopted, and it's a good story where he is trying to help other children to try and see this is a better option. If they were left in the institution or the home, they couldn't be even actually getting the basic needs that they require.
Right, and we do have a phone call. Hello, good morning. Hello? Hello. Mzuri, habari yako? Mnasalimiwa?
Very sana.
Kuna vitu vingi tunapenda kuchangia kwenye ile 24K.
Naam?
Kuna vitu tunataka kuchangia kwenye K24. Lakini vitu vingi mnavyotaka kwa kizungu. Watu wengine hatujasoma, sasa tutachangia vitu na bwana.
Tutajaribu basi. Umetuambia tutajaribu, sijali tutajaribu. Tuongea Kiswahili pia. Tuambie basi.
Maana tutaumia, tutaangalia kila kitu kwa K24, lakini kama mambo mengine yanatupita.
Sawa. Tuambie unataka kuzungumza kuhusu hii topic. Tunaongea mada ambayo tunaongea juu sai.
Ni topic gani mazungumzo kuhusu nini?
Unataka kutupatia mawazo yako kuhusu mazungumzo tuko nayo hapa kwa studio? Tuambie basi.
Ndio madini kuhusu nini? Maana naona mnaandika kizungu hapo.
Okay, Kazungu, yes, you can call us back when you do have, your question or comment. He's saying that lazima tuongee na Kiswahili ama, na Kizungu, so we'll try and mix that up. So I will do my best. I will also do my best, yes. So, Reverend, thing I'm asking is, he said we've come from far. I know Sonia's also asked, culture in Kenya. Sometimes, men will be told by their in-laws or their own families that, why did you adopt a child when you can actually just marry another wife? And get a child that will belong to us, our own family, because of issues of inheritance and the like. So how do you address such pertinent issues? I mean, they've been there in our culture, and that is something you can't fight off easily. So how do you advise a man and a woman who are very confident that we want to do this and we will not let any outside distraction, for example culture, come and interfere with our plans? How do you advise them to deal with aspects like relatives, in-laws, culture, basically?
Yes. Well, it's good to appreciate that Africans are very social. They are a socialistic society, and therefore, whether you want it or not, they are very much concerned, even with your personal life. Nevertheless, that should not deter somebody from doing what is right and what they have chosen to do. And one of those important things to do is to adopt a child, because every child has a right to have a caring parent. And for such a person who feels they want to give that needy child, that abandoned, that child in need of care and protection, they want to give love, they should be allowed to do it. What we should do is that we ourselves, even the adopting parents, should also prepare their extended families as they prepare their nuclear family, that there is a need, we feel there is a need to help another child, because it's also part of extending your love to other people. And it is godly to extend love even to those who don't deserve it and who are not aware that they need to be loved. And at one stage in time, that child will come to know that, or to appreciate that there was somebody who was willing to take me in and to make me like their own, if they come to understand that they are adopted. And therefore, I think we still have a long way to go to explain to our society that adopting a child is not, it's not a way of being defeated or bring strangers into the family or anything like that. It's part of life. It's part of being a member of the larger society. We should not live only for our clans and relatives alone. We should live also for other people. Yeah.
All right. Fred, you know, the way the African culture is, they believe in the continuity of genes. You know, they believe I have to get this generation, the next generation. But now when we get an adopted child, they don't carry your genes. Yeah? There's also that, you know, there's that fear, and then there's also the fear of what is this child carrying? Will they be wayward? Will they be, how do you address such issues?
Labda nijaribu kuongea kwa Kiswahili.
Oh, okay, sawa.
Kuna kitu nilijifunza na nikaweka kama tagline ama masomo ambayo nitatumia kwa maisha yangu.
Okay.
Na nilisoma kutoka kwa bibi yangu. Alisema siku moja kama huwezi shughulikia mtoto ambao si wako, labda haufai kuwa na wako. If you can't take care of another child that is not yours, probably you don't deserve your own. Because kama vile Steven amesema, shida kubwa sio kupata mtoto. Shida ni kulea. Shida kubwa sio kupata. Juu unaweza pata mtoto, na hii tena nilisikia kutoka kwa mama yangu. Unaweza pata mtoto uzae, lakini ushindwe kumlea, akuwe mbaya zaidi. Na unaweza adopt mtoto, ushindwe kumlea, akuwe mbaya zaidi. So shida tunaona kubwa ni malezi. Shida ile tuko nayo katika society yetu sio uzazi, ni malezi. So hiyo ni kitu ningependa watu waelewe. So mtu kama hawezi pata mtoto wake kwa kuzaa, anaweza pata mtoto kwa kuadopt. Jambo lingine, hata kama unaweza pata mtoto wako kwa kuzaa, unaweza chukua mwingine. Anakusaidia kupanua mawazo yako. Juu unaelewa shida zile tuko nazo. We have over 2 million orphans in Kenya. But these orphans are in institutions, are in children homes, are in the streets, are somewhere lost within our society. So and going with the households, Kenya we have about 8,000 households. If we had 2,000 households, each of them taking one child, we will solve all the problems we have about orphans in Kenya. Those are specific things that we can do. So tunaomba kuzaa sio suluhisho. Tumeona watoto wamezaliwa na wamekuwa watukutu. Tumeona watoto wameadoptiwa, wamekuwa wakubwa. Hata kwa nchi ya Kenya tuko na mfano ya watu ambao wameadoptiwa. Kwa world kama Steve Jobs alikuwa mtoto ameadoptiwa na akaweza kubadilisha maneno ya internet.
True.
Yes. Most definitely. Right, so I think, Reverend, you should differentiate for us, you know, if at all there's a difference between adoption and, you know, fostering a child or foster parents. Because I know there's a slight difference, but sometimes we tend to confuse that. But also, remember I asked you about culture. Again, we have other scenarios in some communities where adopting is a no situation. You cannot do that whatsoever. Whether you're barren as a woman or anything, you know, if you are, you're kicked out of the community. So there's such, you know, different, let me say, scenarios to this particular, you know, equation. How do you deal with those issues specifically of culture? Is there a legal document, if I may say? Is there a condition? You know, are there laws that govern such, you know, scenarios? How do you deal with those, you know, different situations?
Yes, in our own country, there's a law that governs or that gives provision for adoption and foster care. And the Children's Act 2001, Part 11 talks about foster care. And Part 12, foster care is Part 11, Section 147 up to 153. And also we have Section 12 that talks about adoption. Maybe to answer your question, the difference between adoption and foster care is that adoption is a permanent placement of a child with an adopting parent, whereby is done through a court of law, and an adoption order is granted. Foster care is placing a child with a person or persons who are not biological parents, relative, or guardian. And it is now the main difference is the process how the two are done. Adoption is strictly done by our law courts or the High Court of Kenya, whereas foster care is done by the Director of Children's Services through his agents.
Maybe, Pastor, before you finish, let's get a phone call. Good morning. Hello. Hello. Good. Tell us your name and where you're calling from, please, and your question.
Yes, my name is David. I'm calling from Nakuru.
Yes, go ahead, David.
Yes, right now you're probably addressing what I wanted to ask first, the difference between fostering and adoption.
Oh, okay, that's what you need to know.
The other question is the process of adopting is very bureaucratic. A lot of people start it and can't get through. It is expensive. You have to go through the High Court. A lot of people just give up on the process. It's not really a very simple process as somebody who's gone through it.
Okay.
I know it is extremely difficult.
Okay.
That's something we need to talk about.
Cool. We were going to address that in a bit. Yeah, sorry, just finish your comment, please.
Yes, so what I was saying is that foster care is temporary placement because the child may come back to its original family or biological family, whereas in adoption, the child is placed permanently with the adoptive parents with equal rights and privileges in that particular family. In a foster care, the child does not, enjoy all the rights in that family. For example, the child cannot inherit the property of that family because it's not provided for in the law. Therefore, it's like they have been given that child to offer parental care to that child, and also it can be extinguished with time. Particularly, foster care can come a time that it's nullified, and or maybe upon acquisition of the common age at age 18, you may not be under foster care anymore. But for adopted child, it's like permanent. It's like that child becomes part of that family. They'll be at no stage they can be dissolved. Yes, that's the main difference.
Right.
Okay, I'm thinking perhaps you can demystify what the caller was talking about. Maybe the adoption process. He said it was a long process, bureaucracy, the government, the law court, and everything. Maybe you can just take a step by step on how it is. Is it as easy, or is it really as hard as we've had?
It has been very hard.
It's been hard.
And we've tried to address that because we were given that as a concern by our members in 2007, and we've tried. The process itself, including the legal process, but also the process with the homes, because you have to start somewhere. And usually, like what our viewer said, some parents get tired in between. And out of the adoptions that we have, the ones that start, only about 40% currently go through in the first 6 months to 1 year. So there is a delay. There have been cases sitting in court. And I would really request parents who had started the process, a journey, to just connect again with the association, but also with the homes or the agencies they started. Because now, if we leave it at that, like what Stephen said, that child is not yours if you've not completed the adoption process. So, and the government is probably, and agencies are caught in between. Do we take our child back because you have not completed the process, or do we allow you to continue taking care of that child? But legally, that child is not secure if the case has not gone through an adoption order given, an adoption certificate given. So like what I told you, we have about 60% of the cases that start just sitting in court, or families sitting with their children in their home, and it's very tragic. But we would ask a parent to just come back to the system, because now it's easier. We have, like for me, I did self-representation. Self-representation, where we guide parents to take themselves in front of the judge, the High Court judge. And it's easy because the courts these days are friendly. But we are trying. Like what our viewer said, it's long. The process is long in the courts, but also it's quite expensive when you don't know how to do it. We have parents who go to lawyers who are criminal lawyers. They represent criminal cases, and they have no idea about family law. So we are asking adoptive parents or persons who would want to adopt to do their research first. When you're starting the process, you have to go to the right home, and you have to go to the right agencies. Now we have about 9 adoptive agencies. You have to find a very good lawyer who practices family law. And in the association, we have tried to look for quite a number of them. So it's easier for those who come to the association, because we will send you to a lawyer who have actually successfully represented parents. So we would guide you. On your own, on your own, you cannot be able to do it quite smoothly. You need support and you need help. It's a journey. Yes.
Okay. Just sorry. Just before you go, is it expensive? Is the process very expensive?
We have done surveys among our members. There are members who have paid as little as 10,000, and there are members who have paid as much as 450,000 for the process.
Why the disparity?
The disparity is so wide because we do it like hidden in a place. If parents were able to come out open and do it hidden, I mean, I decide to adopt today. I don't seek for advice. I don't go to an agency. So I actually end up going to a lawyer who takes advantage of me. I have had lawyers who will actually ask you, we will represent you, but they get another lawyer on behalf of them. You know, if somebody is doing commercial law, they will probably look for another lawyer who practices family law, and then those are 2 lawyers. So the process ends up being long and expensive. But when you start the process and you go to a family lawyer whom we know that has successfully succeeded with supporting parents, it can be as little as 50,000.
I think we should put a class on parents who are scared of, being very, let me say, out there with the process. I mean, you cannot hide this child at the end of the day unless you're putting him or her in a store. Because at the same time, I mean, you said 10,000 to 450,000. So, Reverend, what I'm thinking then, if you're doing it chinyamaji, as they say, then you shouldn't be adopting in the first place. Do you have laws which govern parents who are adopting for all the wrong reasons? Is there somewhere they are drilled, asked questions on why they want to adopt, as in for you to actually see the intentions or, stuff like that? Because you don't want to remove a child from where him or her, was, and they're actually being treated very well, to go to a family permanently where they'll be treated like, they're neither here or there. They're just a piece of something, like scam or something within the family, which is very wrong. So are there any laws that govern that?
Yes, there are laws, because there's a process that one has to undergo if you want to become an adoptive parent. Nevertheless, what normally happens is that, in our country, like Dr. Ali said, it's a foreign concept, about adoptions and fostering. These are new words. It's not new words that they are very new, but they are new concepts within our society. So normally what happens, because of people fearing, they normally do it in the wrong way. And again, I attribute the problem to the dissemination of information. As I said, I'm the chairman of the Association of Charitable Children Institutions. Even majority of them didn't know the process of adoption, foster care, and all this. Yet it is in the Children's Act. So I attribute lack of information dissemination to what shrouds the whole process of adoption and fostering. Otherwise, it should be the easiest thing to do, because you are working for the best interest of the child.
Right, and I need to ask this, why is it like, you see celebrities like Madonna, Angelina Jolie and Brad Pitt, they're adopting, kids from Africa, and it seems so easy for them. Okay, maybe it's not, but that's how we see it, that it's very easy. So how is it for foreigners adopting children in Kenya? Maybe you tell us about that. Hello, good morning. Hello?
Hello?
Yes, good morning.
Yeah, I wanted to find out. I know about when you are going for guardian. Hello?
Yes, we can hear you.
For guardianship, I know you will go to the court and get an adoption certificate. What about when you are fostering a child? What documents will you get and who should give them?
Right. Thank you very much for that.
Okay.
Okay, when you want to foster, I want to answer the question from our caller. When you want to foster, fostering should be done by the Director of Children's Services in conjunction with the manager of a charitable children institution. Then, from there, the foster parent is registered with Department of Children's Services through the agency of DCOs who are all over in the country. So it's as easy as that. One, you adopt a child through a CCI. Yes.
Right, okay then. So I think we should continue, Sony, with this. I'm still looking for you to answer my question on international, adopting children. How is it here in Kenya for foreigners? We've seen, like I said, celebrities doing it in other countries. I'm not sure which ones, but Madonna, namely, Angelina Jolie.
Maybe I can answer that. We have seen an increase in local adoption. Currently, we're about 375 out of 500 being local adoptees who are taking up children for adoption, and it's a good thing because the more we have international adoptions, well, we can do it ourselves. It's quite a shame. I said we only have 500 cases a year out of 250,000 in the world. That is 0.2%. It's quite low. It's quite minimal, so if we encourage a local adoption, but we have international adoption. If you walk along Gong Road and these other areas, you will see foreigners having children. True. And some people fear. They say we are taking our children away. But there are systems that control that. Yes. In fact, actually, I wanted to ask a question that Rehem actually brought a very important aspect, protection of our children, and he brought about the foreigners here. Yes. And every time these days when you go to the supermarket or wherever, Gong Road, wherever, you'll find them carrying our children, so to speak. Yes. And my question is, when it comes to fostering, those people, the foreigners usually just go take the kids and then bring them back later. How sure are we these children are safe? And we know there's so many ugly stories that we've had out there. The people come, they mistreat the children, there's sodomy, there's everything. So how sure are we our children are protected when we pick them and take them back? I think I'll give up that question to Stephen to answer, but I want to mention something. It could be a notion that we have a lot of foreign adoptions than local adoptions. We have very many local adoptions. So there are those few, like I said, out of 500, we have only 375 local adoptions. And children are going to foreign parents, and legally they follow the right process. The success is like Remy was saying, maybe some of them have a lot of money, so it's easy to get a lawyer and then complete the adoption cases within a period of 6 months or less than 6 months. And it's a lesson we can learn as Kenya, because if at a policy level, if we want to encourage local adoptions, we really have to find ways of making it easy. The challenges parents are going through, addressing those challenges, and even in some government, in some countries, if you adopt a child, you're given a stipend by the government. Sort of the money that the government is using to support orphans and vulnerables, that support can be provided to Kenyan families. And in the process, if the process was easier for Kenyan parents, we would see the numbers going up. And my passion and my vision is to see us getting to 2,000 local adoptions per year, and we will be there with your support. And thank you so much, K24, for giving us the airtime, because what Steven said, there is issue of awareness, the issue of talking about these things openly. We've not been as persistent. We only started seeing these cases in 2007 when we started putting our house in order. As Kenyans, we can't be challenged. When I walk on that road and then I see foreigners having our children, I'm challenged in my heart. What are we Kenyans doing? Because some of those are not as rich as our Kenyan people.
That's true.
Yes, I don't know if you can answer about
yes,
international adoptions.
I think about international adoptions, one, it's legal. You can do it legally, so there's no problem about that. Nevertheless, it is known that there are people, there are foreigners who use shortcuts to adopt our children because they'll use the easier option of foster care, and maybe sometimes they would sneak out with a child and the child becomes their own. But I know and I'm aware, because you have raised this issue with the relevant government departments, that some caution need to be exercised so that we can protect our own children. And I know the government policy, but the Kenyan government policy is that they are more interested with our children being adopted and fostered here locally as opposed to foreign fostering and adoption.
Okay.
And therefore, I am aware that something is being done because I've been in the forum where we've been looking into the Children's Act, which governs, the process of adoption and foster care and other alternatives, family-based care. Okay. But what I would maybe suggest is that it should be expedited so that we can have proper protection of our children, because we need our children to grow in their natural environment where they belong, where they can relate, as opposed to children who go out there in a different foreign culture and grow like, some people who are misplaced, because sometimes there's also discrimination. They're discriminated when they go abroad, maybe among communities that do not look like them. So they are seen as, why? He's white and he has a black child, or vice versa. Okay. So I think something should be done.
Of course, most definitely. Right, so you're winding up the show?
Yeah, definitely. We have to wind up now. So we are short of time, unfortunately. Maybe you can tell people, where can people get you, or,
I wanted to mention something before I say where we can be found. We managed last year to petition the government on an issue that was a concern for parents, and I want to say it here, because parents were getting adoption certificate and then they go home with that. So now there's a relief. We said every child needs to have a certificate like any other. So once you've completed the adoption, and if you're Kenyan or you in the country and you have an adoption certificate, you can go to the registrar of persons and get that changed to a birth certificate, so that you have a similar document like any other child, because that was an issue. So when you go to the school and the banks, you will get your savings account, you get your entrance into the school using a birth certificate like any other. So that I wanted to say that. We are on Riara Road, just behind the Nakuma Junction. So in a compound called OAIC, so you can find us there. We have programs and members nationally.
Okay, okay, good, thank you. You, sir, where can people get in touch?
Yes, I would first of all make a comment and say that thank you, K24, for allowing us to be here and maybe to inform them, our members of public, on the processes and of adoption and foster care. If somebody want to contact us, we are in Kikuyu, currently based at Nuru Africa Children's Center. That's where we have been given an office as an association. And anybody can visit us or Google and you'll find us on the internet.
All right.
Okay then.
Wow. I guess that's all the time we had today.
Yes, and again, we're also very grateful for you to be here in case any parent would like to adopt a child. And you know, the difference between adaptation and foster care. Thank you so much for coming here and giving us that information. Thank you very much. All right, so thank you so much for watching Social Hour. Coming up shortly are 2 more interviews you need to stay tuned to. Thank you for watching. Coming back shortly.